Hello, Dylan here, and welcome to a video where I'll be talking about my 5 favorite fairy tale arcs. Now, if you didn't know, fairy tale is one of my personal favorite. It always has a special place in my heart. And instead of like what some people do, they're like ranking them from best to least. Instead of like putting the slightly negative part of the least, and then I'll just take that part out and just go with like my top 5 and keep it more positive of a list. Without further ado, let's get started with number 5, which I forgot how many arcs there are. Oh, and I'm not going to be including any like the mini 1-2 episode arcs. Like example, I can think of was like Daphne or the what was it, the Daybreak, one of the very beginning ones, the Daybreak one. There's a Daphne one. Like I'm not gonna include any of those like extremely short arcs, even though they're considered arcs. What I'm going to be talking about is more like the main big arcs. And now let's continue with number 5. It's really hard to pick them. Like I know what my top 2-3 favorites are, but like the others were harder to pick. But for this one, I picked the Oración Seis Arc, the Nirvana arc, because one, we get introduced to Wendy, our next Dragon Slayer, in the story. I just really liked the whole. Oh yeah, Zero was this Natsu versus Zero fight was really cool. I just liked the kind of story that kind of told of them of what Nirvana was, and like the twist at the end of the truth of Wendy's quote unquote guild. I really like that little plot twist at the end. Number 4. This one is going to be the Eclipse Celestial Spirits arc, and despite people not liking it just because it's filler, if they actually watched it, they would find that it's actually really enjoyable of an arc. Whether it's canon or not, it is still very enjoyable because you get to see these like flipped versions of these celestial spirits that you come to know and love. It's just an interesting concept of an idea by itself, of kind of tying itself into the story as well, of the Eclipse Gate. Kind of like it has because with the Eclipse Gate, you had to think there had to be some kind of negative effect it would have had on the current timeline because of how powerful it was, being able to have a gate to a different time. So just how they kind of spun that into because it was also the celestial spirits that had to close the gate at the same time to open and close the gate. So the kind of making it even more connected. I really like that, and like I said, all these different versions of these spirits was really cool. My personal favorite, I think, was Virgo, because it's like a complete flip from the Virgo we know of being like a masochist turning into like a sadist. That was like a complete 180. I really liked it. Okay, number 3, I have to go with the Tenrou Island Arc, because that's the first time we actually see Zareth and Acnologia, and all the fights that happen on it, and the fact that it always happens to them all the time. They're wanting to do something for themselves, fairy tale. They're wanting to make people like an S-class, classify more S-class wizards in the guild. But then shit hits the fan, and Hades hit the previous fairy tale master. Hades just was wrecking that. I just really love the storytelling with it, and the ending with the whole 7-year gap. I really love that. What else can I say about it? It also introduced the whole Dragon God Slayer, or what, I forgot what it was called. Was it God? I think it was like God Slayers, right? It was a fire God Slayer first introducing them. That is really cool, with the gray kind of fire, like the ashy kind of fire, which kind of fit his personality of turning everything to ash. But I just really liked the arc and how emotional it got by the end of it. Up next, my number 2. This arc has been one of my It's been my number one favorite for so long, but now it's number two, obviously. And this is the Daedalus arc, where, you know, all of them, well, not all of them, chunk of them get sent to the alternate dimension of Daedalus, which also ties like some loose strings together of what Happy and Carla are, of who Mystigan actually is, and why Mystigan and Jalal were different people, and the fact that Mystigan is actually technically named Jalal, but just in the other Daedalus universe. And I just loved all these different, how it, in similar fashion to the Eclipse Celestial Spirit arc, it had these different versions of it had like a flipped version of some of our favorite characters. Like how Natsu, like the normal Natsu was like, like gets motion sickness and will fight anything. While the Daedalus Natsu is like a race car, is like a racing badass. But he's only a badass when he's in the car driving. When he's out of the car, he's a complete coward. So I just really, and what else was it? I think it was, Levy was, the normal Levy is more calm, and the one Daedalus is more like the younger Mirajane used to be whenever she was younger. Like always picking fights and that kind of stuff. If I'm remembering correctly. It's been a while since I've watched the arc, but it's just one of my personal favorites. Oh, we also get to meet Panther. We also get Panther Lily through this arc as well. That kiwi loving bodybuilding cat. And yeah, I just really like how it ties some loose ends together with some of these characters. Oh yeah, and Lizana coming back as well. Time for my number one favorite arc. Some of you are gonna hate me for this for two reasons. Because I kind of put two in my number one spot. Because I couldn't pick between them. I like them equally. This first one I want to say is, you're going to like that it's at number one, but it's obviously the Tartaros Arc in the Fairy Tail 2014 series. What I like about that arc is just how it answers so many questions, and it has like all these huge emotional moments, like huge emotional moments of all our characters suffering and trying to power through all this bullshit that's happening to them. Oh, we also get the Gagio Levy kiss that the animation fucked up. Yeah, I'm still salty about that. They couldn't have zoomed. I'm just saying, they couldn't have zoomed in just a bit more. I mean, they had to have it so zoomed out. Like, if you didn't know what was actually going on there, you wouldn't even know that Gagio and Levy were mouth to mouth right there. Because Levy was giving Gagio air. Because they were in that, not really underwater. It was more like, what was it? Like, I forgot what it was called. But it was those particles. I forgot the name of those particles that are like poisonous to mages, to wizards. And I forgot the name. But also all the with how long the Tartaros Arc actually is, and how it has all these big fights, and it's just one of my big faves for this series, and I just really like it. Okay, and the first, people might hate me for this, is that I put a second one up here, but the other reason people would hate it is because it is actually the last arc, the Alvarez Empire Arc. I still don't know why people actually dislike it. I don't really understand why. I thought it was fantastic, and it was a great way to end it, minus the whole 100-year quest manga, obviously. And I just really love how it ended the story in a nice, neat fashion. Well, not really neat. I won't say neat, but it was a nice way to end. The reason I put it here with the Tartaros Arc is because they both give you such equal amounts of emotional moments and huge badass fights, along with answers. They give you an equal amount, and I won't say the quality of the answers. I would say the quantity, the amount of answers that you get is pretty equal. Because in Tartarus you learned of Natsu being END from Zareth, but of course only he knows that. But in the Alvarez Empire Arc, Natsu learns that he is END, and not only that, but Zeref's brother at the same time. Which obviously also explains like way in the back with like the Battle of Fairy Tail with the whole 80 years thing blocking Natsu from leaving the guild, that it explains something that's that far back. So I just really like that. And just that final scene with like the fight between Natsu and Zeref is so goddamn incredible. And the 7 Dragon Slayers versus Acnologia on the inside, while on the outside we had all the other fairy tale guild members, and even people from other guilds, all getting the fairy sphere to like keep Acnologia trapped, like the rampaging Acnologia trapped, so it wouldn't be rampaging until Natsu finished what he was going to do. Until Natsu and the other Dragon Slayers, I should say. But then again, it was still Natsu at the end, taking all of their power until like one huge hit to defeat Acnologia. I just really, really loved that. And then at the very end, of course, with Lucy and her best-selling book, basically I'm pretty sure it was a book of basically all their adventures. And I just really love this last arc. So I hope you enjoyed this. Is top 5 favorite fairy tale arc video. To sum it up, number 5 was the Oración Seis Arc, Nirvana Arc. Number 4 was the Eclipse Celestial Spirit Arc. Number 3 was the Tenrou Island Arc. Number 2 was the Tartaros Arc. And number 1 was the Tartaros and Alvarez Empire Arc. So, hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button. Subscribe to join this positive anime guild I'm building here on YouTube, because we all need some positivity. And I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.